And so I get asked all the time, why don't you like assisted opening knives? Aren't they basically just an automatic? Well, once you've owned both, you discover pretty quickly that assisted opening knives they're the decaf lattes of automatic action with an extra pump of foam. They're the Diet Coke of spring-loaded deployment. Whereas the true push-button automatic is the triple shot espresso of the high-speed knife user. Would you like some cream with that? What do you think? And so today, we're gonna detonate the Benchmade Claymore, Claymore Tanto, and the Claymore Mini, making sure that these knives' fronts are facing towards the enemy, because there's gonna be a lot of chaos created when one of these Claymores goes off. And we'll discover if the Mini fits my large size hands or if it's better suited for Mrs. GT. And make sure to stick around for competitive options, where I'm gonna highlight some stainless steel options in the auto arena, and also a manual that might fit the bill if you can't handle the action an automatic knife provides. Well, welcome back everyone to another blade review. I'm Aaron, this is Gideon's Tactical. And let's go ahead, and before we get into it, I am gonna take a little sip here of my triple espresso, or whatever the heck I'm drinking today. Hopefully I don't have the caffeine shakes for you guys on frame. So we got the original here, and we're gonna highlight some things on that before we dive into the variants like the Tanto and the Mini. And break those down. But since I haven't reviewed the original before, I'm just gonna give you kind of the highlights here. Now this is so cool, check this out. So you see the Morse code dots and dashes there on the handle. That is FTE, front toward enemy. That's what that means, giving a nod to the Claymore mine that they named it after. So very cool. And you can tell that just the design, it's a tactical folder first before anything else. That is what it is designed to do. So you are gonna have a lot of traction points on the handle that we're gonna break down momentarily. And you are gonna have the just kind of color combinations as well as features that will highlight that type of use first before you maybe like slim, elegant, refined EDC, you know, general carry that you're gonna take to the office. That's not the intended purpose of these tools, though, you know, obviously you could do that. Now on the full-size versions here, now in Tanto and in the drop point, you can get them serrated or plain edge. I always go plain edge because I way prefer that. Much easier to resharpen, maintain, in my opinion. Now, what you're gonna have is from the handle to the tip, just like a hair. I mean, it's like that much over. It's like 3.6 on the overall blade length. Cutting edge is 3.5, the actual cutting edge on each of these. 1/8 of an inch thick back here, holds that basically to the transition of the tips. And all of these are gonna have pretty fine tips. I did do stabbing, and it pierced really well. I mean, I wouldn't use it as like a crowbar, trying to like pop open a door, but it holds up well to the use, and that means that it's gonna pierce and penetrate very nicely. I was very happy with that. On that drop point, both again, these are gonna have flat grinds. The drop point has a higher flat grind, so it's gonna be slicier than the Tanto. The Tanto has a lower flat grind or saber grind. It just means a little extra strength in the blade, but it loses a little bit of slicing. I still sliced a ton, and I've mainly been carrying the Tanto version. And then you got that little swedge right there. It does have a sharp 90-degree spine, so you could throw sparks on, maybe not the Tanto, definitely on the drop point, you could do that. And the steel that Benchmade is using on all of these is gonna be CPM D2 steel. Now in the past, they've been using just regular D2 on some of their knives in years past, but recently have transitioned over to the Crucible process of D2 and what Crucible does. And there is a significant difference in overall performance to just your run-of-the-mill D2. And what that process does is it gives not only the ability to have a higher hardness level of 60 to 62 is what these are rock weld at, whereas most D2 you're gonna find is gonna be more like 59 to 60, if you're lucky 61. And then the carbide structure is gonna be finer, which means that you're going to have a better level of toughness and edge stability, preventing microchips. I actually saw that when... So we're gonna see how this D2 holds up, because we gotta put in ceiling tiles. Guess there we go. It's gonna be getting a lot of action today. And only having to touch this up one time, and then easily being able to touch it up. So it actually, because of the finer grain structure on those carbides, it means it's a little easier to tune up than standardized D2. So I have no qualms with the type of steel that they went with. Only downside is that it is still somewhat, it's a semi-stainless, it's not a true stainless steel. So if you're in super high humid environments, you may see some patina staining on that exposed edge, but the coating holds up really well and, you know, fights off that rust. Now onto the handle, big point that you want to look for when you're talking about a tactical blade. This is 5 inches when it is closed. So I really like that. Lots of real estate. You can get it currently in this OD green or black versions. You're gonna get this recessed traction right here, traction points all over. The jimping anywhere is not sharp, so I was really thankful for that, but it's tactile and gives you grip. So I used it mainly without gloves on, but there's still a full grip on here. It is not squared or blocky. They are rounded scales with that spacer. Nice flow through construction. A lot of autos will not be flow through, or very minute, you know, like right up near the body or near the pivot might have some flow through. This is nice so you can clean it out if it gets gunky like mine is starting to. I'm gonna need to blow that out soon. There, so it's Gryvery handle scales, which means that this comes in, even though it's a large folder, at sub 4 ounces. That is excellent. So you're not gonna know it's in your pocket. It's lightweight. And it's gonna still fill out the hand though, because it's not super slim, at 0.54. So it doesn't feel hulking or bulky, but when you actually grip it and use it, you can just see there with my large size hands, I am fully in control, excess left over. The flare right here works really well, giving you traction where you want. And I can lock up right here, put my thumb right on that back guard, and I feel totally locked into place, can use it, but then I can choke up and kind of move over and it rests very naturally like that. And then I can do a push cut if necessary, or just a standardized hammer grip. And then if I put it in a reverse grip, got plenty of real estate right there, bam, for a good stabbing portion. Now that polymer, you may think kind of sounds clacky like on some Benchmades, but that snapping is only the action. It's very, very dense. I don't think I can even get any flexing, maybe ever so slight movement. There's actually a steel liner that goes about halfway, almost to this first standoff, all around the housing. So the housing is very well structured, and it's not like, oh, let's put like just a tiny little plate. There's a lot of metal in there for that. Good loop over, deep ride pocket clip, lanyard hole, ambidextrous, all that is well executed. Straight into the action, we are gonna get a safety. Red is dead. You push that button, bam, fires right up. It has perfect snappiness. Some autos have had, like, if you don't bounce off the button right away, it'll actually hit the stop pin and then rebound, and you'll get kind of like this weird, it won't fully engage. I've never had that happen, literally one time. It is always just fired. The button is just about recessed, but good texture. I could easily manipulate all of these with thick work gloves, leather gloves on. So I really wanted to test that, and I was very pleased that I could easily actuate the safety on and off and the button. If you do want to have it open and put the safety on you, it can actually not depress the lock all the way, and it will not fully disengage and like collapse on your hand. I've never disengaged that accidentally, but some people, you know, you might actually like side bump that if you're doing something super hard. I've never had an issue with any auto like that, but just, you know, for your own personal note. And then boom, you put that there, and it's got a good snappiness to it. Like whichever side you put it on, it's not going to accidentally come off, but it's not difficult to move either with that safety. And the lockup itself, you're going to get a little bit of play, which is what you're going to get with almost every auto, even some of the competitive options I'm running here. There's going to be just ever so slight rock. The actual piston lock itself is going to be very large and thick, and then you do have a secondary stop bar right there. So all those just working in unison together give you a lot of security in the lockup. So as we transition to the Mini, I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of most of Benchmade's mini versions of the full size. I wasn't a fan of the Adamas Mini. I way prefer the Adamas. It just was too compact, kind of cramped, and kind of like too thick and bulky. So I was on the fence when I got this. I'm like, I don't know, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't, we'll see. So the things, first off, 3-inch blade from handle to tip, and you're gonna be looking at like 2.8 on the cutting edge. Now they've thinned it out just a little bit at 0.09 on the thickness. Nice little swedge there. Great slicer, flat grind. I mean, that thickness, but with a high flat grind on that blade, just means it's an easy slicer. I mean, and just an excellent, beautiful drop point. Regardless if you go with the mini or the full size, those drop points are gorgeous. If you're into that, they just executed that very well with the like extra little swedge there, but it's not like super, super thin up there. You can still even put like some pressure with your thumb if you wanted to. So just super well designed in that case, still able to pierce, penetrate if you wanted to. And then they have shaved almost a whole ounce off of this. So whereas the full size is under 4 ounces, this is under 3 ounces. So for an auto at 3-inch blade, under 3 ounces, it's like 2.6, I think, 2.5. That's pretty impressive. You're gonna get the exact same profile of handle, flow through construction. You're gonna get a mini pocket clip, loop over deep ride, so it's not gonna get in the way. Ambidextrous again, good action right there. Gonna deploy easily. You're still gonna get that auto feature that locks it all into place. So very compact, great little like idea of an auto, but what about that handle? If I go back here and lock myself in, it basically becomes almost a 3-finger knife. My pinky is really kind of wanting to slide off. I don't have full grip on it. And I ended up finding that I was mainly gripping it this way with my thumb over the thumb ramp and on the back spine of the blade to really function and use it well, or in a hammer grip. If I was ever trying to hold it like this, or if I held it in a reverse grip, it's almost starting to scoot up out of my hand there. And if you're gonna ask me between the two, the full size has a much better handle grip for myself that I would just prefer to use and carry. Fills out the hand nicely. This feels a little too jammed up and compact for my large size hands, but
it happens to fit really well in my hands.
Nice. Yeah, that's way better. Way better fit for you. And for a family that glove size matters, what size gloves do you wear for women's?
I have medium-sized hands.
We'll have to get a shirt for you for that. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you definitely, it's not a 3-finger knife for you. Feels good in the hand.
Yeah, feels really good.
And then what about a reverse grip? You got plenty of real estate there for you. Sweet. So, though it may not be my first choice, regardless if it was an auto or not, just the handle is a little too compact for my taste and really kind of jams me up if I'm using it here, and I would just go with the full size. That doesn't mean it's not a great fit for either a son or a daughter, or those ladies particularly, and you just feel like this is way too big for your pant pockets, which I know are always more compact, shallower than most men's pockets on pants. This will absolutely not only be able to fit more likely in it because of its length in that handle, which is 4.18. I forgot to mention that earlier. So they basically have shaved off almost an inch off of the handle when you line it up there. 4.18 on the overall handle, but a lot of it is eaten up again with that guard. Pricing, competitive options. Let's really dive in. And as I said, I'm gonna have some stainless steel options here for us and some manuals to look at, just kind of for some food for thought. But we'll hit pricing first. Now the full sizes, they're going for about $235, $234, I believe, and then the mini is about $207 to $210 on average. So I mean, you're not saving that much by going smaller. You're saving like 20 bucks, maybe, like 25 bucks. I don't know, right around there. As well as I was actually looking up, and there's a ProTech that just recently came out in CPM D2. It's like $260. It has aluminum handle scales, but that's it. And doesn't even have a safety for those of you who are interested. So, I mean, that's pretty competitive with what else is on the market for American-made CPM D2 autos. So with that pricing knowledge, let's look at those competitive options I was alluding to. I'm gonna get our drop point here and our mini out of the way. First I'm gonna hit, because it's a Tanto, is the GERBER down range. In Tanto, that's all that they offer, I believe, at the moment. And I can't remember if they have serrated or not serrated options. I've carried this for a very long time since it first came out. Really enjoy using it. Now it's gonna be significantly heavier at like 5.5 ounces. S30V steel, American made. This one goes for about $180 on average for this model. Two things of note is that not only are the buttons much more exposed, for some cases might actually be better for actuating like with gloves. On some cases it gets in the way and is kind of annoying, and it is much clunkier, squarer, and heavier. So that's something just to kind of weigh. It's not as ergonomic and comfortable compared to the Claymore when you're gripping it and like doing extended cutting with it. And the Claymore is going to have a deeper guard and then flare to keep your hand more locked in place than the downrange, because it's just a lot less gradual, more likelihood of sliding up, and doesn't guard your hand as well when you are considering stabbing. I told you I'd be doing a manual option, kind of similar to the drop point here, would be the Redoubt from Benchmade, previously reviewed here. This is a manual. I actually have fallen in love with this folder and carry it more so than my Griptilian. If you were to ask me, like, I could only have the Griptilian or the Redoubt, I would go with the Redoubt. Higher grind angle, CPM D2 steel, better deep ride loop over pocket clip. I mean, just amazing. Good grip. It's definitely kind of more of a tactical vibe to it with that nice drop point right there. Amazing smooth action. Really nice, lightweight as well for the, watch it there, the size, about 180. So that's an option that's available if you're kind of like the idea, but you're like, I don't know, I don't want to go with auto, or you just can't, you know, like some places don't allow autos. It's just the way it is. This would be an option and save yourself the money to boot. And so my feelings on the blades, the Tanto has definitely usurped the role that my Gerber played for a long time. And I definitely, you know, gravitate more to it now just for some of the characteristics that I highlighted. Drop point is an excellent option for those of you who like that. Though the Mini is definitely not for me, it is that great option for my wife or sons. And I do appreciate Benchmade sending me these samples so I could break them down for you, showing you the pros, the cons, their capabilities and limitations, so that you can better determine for yourself if these are the right autos to start putting into rotation or not. So there you go, guys. I hope that this video has been fun and entertaining and answered the questions that you may have about the Claymore series. Please leave comments below of any questions that you have, or comments, or just your personal experience with the Claymores or other blades in general. I always appreciate your guys' comments. Gives me food for thought, helps me to generate more content, gives me ideas, and helps, you know, other perspectives. This is just my mileage, and your mileage may vary, and I always love hearing from you guys. Again, I invite you to subscribe if you haven't yet, and check out the other video popping up. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.